Today, Melanie Dolachek, Director of Marketing for Allen Press, is going to share with you a number of ways to trim costs and increase efficiency while balancing reader needs and preferences. I'm going to turn the presentation over to Melanie now. Don't forget to use the chat box on the lower right of your screen to send in your questions. Be sure you select Host in the Send To drop-down box.
Thank you, Tim. As Tim mentioned, today we're going to talk about how we can manage production costs of publishing a journal and how we balance that with the needs and preferences of the reader. These are not mutually exclusive concepts, contrary to popular thought, but often publishers find themselves making decisions that are driven by economic factors without regard to what our readers actually want. Without satisfied readers and members, your efforts may be futile in the long run. Before making blind decisions about cutting costs, the first step is to understand the needs and preferences of your readers. So how do you find out what they want? Well, it's as simple as asking them. When is the last time you surveyed your readers? It has never been easier to get feedback from your readers. Surveys are incredibly inexpensive. They can be sent directly via email or set up as a link off of your website using an online tool such as maybe SurveyMonkey. A service like this, you're going to pay $20 a month or $200 for an annual subscription. It's very affordable. Another way to get feedback is through a focus group. Get a group of members together, say at your annual meeting, and they will gladly share information about their preferences. If you have a strong online social network, start the conversation there. We all know people are not shy on Facebook. Then just sit back and listen. And of course, it's not enough just to listen, but you also need to react. Start by formulating a plan for how you can meet your readers' needs in the next 1 to 2 years. Make sure that you are taking your readers' preferences into account before making decisions about the formats and the ways in which you package and deliver your content. Consumers used to be satisfied with a single option. If that was all there was, they were okay with that. But all around us, we've been introduced to options, the have it your way model. But now, choice is an expectation. And that bleeds into scholarly and association publishing too. As technology evolves in computers, and smartphones, and e-book readers, so too evolves a reader's expectations. Publishers create content that our communities want, but how they want to receive it can vary dramatically from person to person. Let's look at an example of how many different ways a single piece of content can be delivered in an industry outside of publishing. Let's say we want to watch a movie. A movie in our example is the content, similar to an article perhaps. Many years ago, the only way to see a movie was to go to the theater. Now we have lots of options for viewing a movie. Video stores started popping up, then there was pay-per-view, mail order, now we even have video vending machines. And now there are even more options. We can watch movies on our PCs through the internet or on our smartphones. Yet none of these options have disappeared entirely as another was introduced. Why is this? Because each delivery method has a distinct purpose or situation when it is most appropriate. I'm probably not going to watch a movie with my friends on my iPhone. If I'm traveling, getting a new movie through the mail isn't exactly practical either. If I'm not good about returning a video to the video store, which I'm not, pay-per-view may save me a ton of money on late fees and even on time, even if I have to pay a premium to get that video, or that movie in this case. The content delivery issue is not about eliminating one method to make way for another, but rather understanding the situations in which the reader is going to be using the content. Will we see one or more of these options dissolve over time? Probably so, but the key is over time. They won't magically disappear overnight. I've heard many people make the comment that the print versus online debate is a generational one. But as we saw in the movie example, people's preferences are much more tied to situations than their age. There are many young adults that in certain situations prefer to have print. In the field, in remote areas where cell reception is poor or where the internet connectivity is sparse. For instance, the young man on the right here in our slide may prefer to print when he's out in the field, but is quite comfortable with online publications when he's in the office. We can't make sweeping generalizations and should be judgments about our reader preferences based on age or any other demographic for that matter. One of our customers recently surveyed their student members, young people, asking them if they would prefer a print or an online edition of a member magazine. The response was overwhelmingly in favor of print. As an example from my personal life, I enjoy reading. The problem is that I can rarely find enough time to read as much as I'd like. I commute 2 hours a day to work in my car, so that eats up a lot of my time. However, it's not exactly productive time. It would be nice if I could read and drive, however, no one else on the road is going to think that's a great idea. We have all seen that person in traffic reading the newspaper, and I'm sure been very afraid. Enter audiobooks. While I much prefer to read a printed book, that's not practical given my schedule, and it's the information that I'm really after in most cases. If I didn't have a 2-hour commute, I would probably never listen to a single audiobook. And just because I listen to audiobooks in my car doesn't mean I never buy or read a printed book. I just reserve that option for weekends or when I'm traveling. One of the great things about online publications is the ease of locating information. Whether it's a Google search or a journal website search, the internet makes finding what you need very easy and very fast. However, the reality is that once a user locates the information online, guess what? Yeah, they print it. It's not that print is dying, it's just becoming more selective and driven by the user instead of the publisher. Excuse me. This reflects a fundamental shift in the distribution model of scholarly publishers. Traditionally, publishers have operated with a print and deliver model. Now, we see a shift to delivering an electronic file online and the end user taking on the burden of printing it. Publishers have generally passed on the cost of print to the reader through the price of the subscription. However, if online prices for content do not differ significantly from print subscription prices, the reader may be paying twice, all for the convenience of searching online and only printing what is needed. Yet, we don't hear anybody complaining about having to print a PDF. For those readers who are accessing your publication through an institutional subscription, cost is nominal, pennies on the page even, since the content is being purchased by someone else. Because of what's happening in other industries, publishers must be flexible about how we package and deliver our content to customers if we're going to meet their expectations. It's not a question of either or, but of how and where do you want to use the content. In some cases, it's about format, print, online, ebook, audio. It's also important, though, to dig deeper and look at how we allow readers to purchase our content. For instance, virtual issues or creating subject-specific collections of online articles. Pay-per-view, purchasing only what a user needs. Print on demand, when what comes off of an office laser printer isn't sufficient for someone that wants a printed version. And finally, subscription types such as blocks of docs, where a user can download X number of articles for one single flat rate. Just recently, I read an article about an organization called Deep Dive that is arranging deals with publishers to rent scholarly articles for 99 cents each, no less. Users can view online for up to 24 hours, but cannot print or save the article, very easily anyway. So lots of things are emerging in terms of formats and packaging content, and we need to make sure that we're aware of that. The important thing is to figure out what your readers want, and then to focus on how you can deliver it more economically. Okay, we're going to move on, shift gears, and move on to the deliberate, more economically part now, which I'm sure a lot of you are anxious for. We're going to cover 4 basic areas where you can increase efficiency and save money. Publication style or specifications, production, fulfillment and mailing, and then in your editorial office. These cost-saving strategies will focus heavily on print, but can also impact the entire editorial process. When it comes to printing, paper is a significant part of the cost. Small changes in the paper that you use can make a big difference. First, let's look at paper weight. For example, we are looking at a monthly publication with 192 pages per issue. The annual savings of moving from a 50-pound paper to the exact same paper in a 45-pound weight, that's a 6% savings. In addition, you should see a reduction in your postage costs as the finished books will be lighter. For example, a publication that recently changed from a 70-pound to a 60-pound paper saved 4% on their domestic postage, 11.5% on their international postage, and 12.5% on their paper bill. So, overall, it ends up being quite a bit of savings. For even more savings, consider changing the grade of the paper that you are using. Most people associate grade with brightness, though there are other factors that go into determining a paper's grade. Changes in the paper industry have resulted in improved brightness in lower grade papers. Moving from a number 3 grade to a number 5 grade resulted in a 26% savings in this case. Now keep in mind, every situation is different, and things like the brand and the type of paper can impact how much savings will actually be realized. Selecting the paper from your printer's house stock is another great way to maximize savings, as they typically purchase large quantities of house papers and then pass the volume discounts along to customers. Those readers that value the printed version of your journal are probably far more worried about continuing to even get a printed copy mailed to their home or office than they are with the weight and the grade of the paper that it's printed on. Depending on your printer and their equipment, sometimes a change in the trim size of your publication can make a big difference when it comes to how much paper you'll need to purchase. In some cases, that change can be small. For instance, from 8 1/8 by 11 to 8 by 10 7/8 in this case. Such a difference may not be all that noticeable to your readers, but for our example, it resulted in a 5.8% reduction in paper costs. Do keep in mind, though, a more dramatic trim size change may require you to update your rate cards and communicate with advertisers, which could be added cost and labor as sort of an unintended consequence.